Hey everybody, Quest-wise back again today. It is Monday, and as such, it is video day. I try to film all my videos on Monday, try to get them uploaded on Monday as well too. So if you're a fan, if you're a subscriber, that's a little bit of a hint that you can kind of check me out and expect some new stuff on Monday. Although next Monday, week from today, I will not be posting a video as I will be out of town celebrating my anniversary with my wife. So yeah, unless I find something really, really awesome to report on, I will be sort of off the grid for a couple of days. So it'll be a week without some videos. Try to get a couple of them out to you today so that you can enjoy those over the next week or so. Today, first up, we're going to be talking, I started a series last week centered around the Vigilante Hack by Bloat Games and the upcoming Vigilante City, which is successfully kickstarted just recently and is being put together, and that will be coming out in the future. But until then, this is a little primer on how to run games set in the Vigilante Hack and the Vigilante City and how to make them awesome. Last week, if you remember, we talked about characters and motivations, histories behind your characters and backgrounds and such, to make your characters awesome, to make them feel more believable and to give them motivations and reasons to be vigilantes. This week I want to talk about the city itself and how creating a city can happen in the Vigilante Hack and Vigilante City, as well as how to bring that city to life and use it in a game. First of all, the city is just as important. The city that your characters live and play in is just as important as the characters themselves. A game of Vigilante City, Vigilante Hack will fall flat if your city doesn't have some sort of life to it. Thankfully, Bloat Games has really integrated into the system ways to create cities quickly, efficiently, and to give them character through a series of random tables and a series of dice drop tables. There are great ways to quickly incorporate how cities work, how they're built, what's in them, who's in them, and what you can look for in those things. I highly encourage, as a game master, that you create a city beforehand, or at least start small. You don't have to create an entire city, but create a small, maybe a few block radius that your characters are going to begin in, and begin there and sort of blossom out from there. Let the city kind of grow organically as your characters grow and expand throughout the city and stuff as well. I recommend that you do that in advance, but you can also do it on the fly as well too. It's not hard to maybe just before a game drop some dice onto a chart, roll some random tables, and get a good idea of how that particular part of the city and how it works and who's in it. But it also helps to put a little bit more thought behind it as well too. If you're there when the players create their characters, it's always kind of nice to use sort of that motivation or their motivations and their characters to build your part of the city as well too. What's important about a city? There are a number of different things that you want to be able to put into a city to sort of give it life and sort of make it a realistic setting for your characters, for your vigilantes to participate in. First and foremost, it's the people who live in the city. Who can and who can't the PCs trust? Who's there? In the random charts, there's a number of different things, but there could be informants that you can use to help you, give you clues, or to give you additional background into some of the crimes that you're looking into. There could be people who are informants for gangs on the flip side of that, and whenever you show up, they begin to tell their gang leaders that you're there and that you're working and that you're scoping out their sort of territory. There might be police officers in that area that you work with very closely, or maybe the police officers don't trust you at all, and thus are always looking for ways to bring you down and to capture you. There are also, beyond the people themselves, beyond the people who live there themselves, you also want to sort of think about what resources are available for your player characters and stuff as well too. And then little things too, like, so if they have vehicles, where's the closest gas stations? Um, if there's drug houses, if there's uh, any number of things, warehouses full of certain things. Build the resources as well as the non-player characters as well too. You want the PCs to be able to have places like maybe a safe house, some place that they have created, or some place that they know of that's if they get into some trouble, they can try to escape away to and be protected for a short period of time, or a place that carries ammunition, or any number of things. But make sure that you detail out some of the resources available too, and some of those are in the random tables as well. You can just kind of scan through there and pick ones out that you think are most pertinent for your part of the city. Like I mentioned before, start small. Create just a couple of blocks and build out from there. Starting small allows you to not get overwhelmed with every detail of the city. It depends on your game, but it really depends on like what the scale of your game is, what the scope of what you're trying to accomplish is. Is it going to be a small sort of like grotto or a small part of this giant city that you really want to focus on, like sort of like Daredevil and Hell's Kitchen, or do you want to go full scale and do all of Chicago? It really depends on you and how much work and effort you want to put into the system. But I would always recommend to start small. Start with a small few, square blocks, or a small, like I said, a small sort of like section of the city, and then sort of grow out from there. You can put a lot of detail, and you can put a lot of conflict and danger in the PC's way in just a very small portion of the town as well too. It doesn't have to be a full-size giant city that you instantly have to jump into and try to feel like you have to detail everything. On the flip side of that, also let the players do some of the work as well too. So bring to the table a little bit of what you have, but also ask the players when you get there to detail out part of that city for you as well. So for instance, do they live in the city? Where do they live? Who lives with them? Is it friends, family? Do they have people there that they can trust, people that they're wary of? It might be as small as just an apartment, to an apartment building, to a city block that they want to detail. But let them do some of the work, because that allows them to invest themselves in the city. It makes it more important to them, rather than just you bringing a generic city to the table. They feel invested in, this is my home, this is where I live, or this is the area that I protect because I have friends there, or I have family there. And let them detail out who the contacts are, who they can trust and who they can't trust. And that way, they're going to have a much more invested interest in the city that they're playing in as well too. On the flip side of that, letting them create their own sort of part of the city also allows you to use that city against them. So there are going to be times that they're going to want that part of the city that they've created to be a sort of safe haven for them, a place that they can relax, or a place that they feel safe in. But at the same time, you can also use that against them. Make the tension rise a little bit. Maybe you're using street gangs or ninja clans to sort of encroach on their territory, and in doing so, their tension rises for them, because now they feel that their part of their safe haven of their city might disappear, might be destroyed, and thus using that portion that they've created of their city against them builds some great role-playing aspects and builds some great narrative storytelling as well too. Trying to check my notes here real quick, see if I've forgotten anything. Make the city feel real. I guess as a last note, I would say, make the city that you create feel real. This is going to make this game a lot more enjoyable and a lot more pertinent. It's going to make the game a lot more exciting if the city itself feels real, if there's everyday stuff going on. Run a few scenes where either the characters are interacting in their everyday lives, or they're sort of just watching out over the city from top of a building or something. But let real life stuff happen. Let Mrs. Horowitz from down the block, who's 92, who every day walks to the corner market to buy a jug of milk and back home. Let those things happen. Let those things create a sense of reality and safety and normalcy. What's going to happen is that when you begin to, as a game master, begin to challenge those things, the PCs are going to react instantly because they don't want the status quo to change. That's the whole goal of being a vigilante, is that you want to protect the things that you love and stand up for the things that other people, normal people, can't do for themselves. Thus, if you build an everyday sort of status quo of things happening just as they do every day, and the status quo might even be very, very dark. It might be kids selling drugs on the corners, or it could be even darker to muggings happening in alleyways. Those might be everyday occurrences, and then thus builds a little bit more tension for the players to get in there and clean things up. Police can't do everything, and that's the idea behind Vigilante Hack and Vigilante City, is that sometimes the law can't do everything. Sometimes the law is constrained. Police are constrained by the law, and thus are not able to step out and do things that a vigilante can do. Now, this is not a video promoting vigilantism, and nor do I ever, I should put a warning here. I don't recommend that you go out and do vigilante justice on your own, but it is a great way to run a game, and it's a great concept that's been throughout the entire history of comics and movies forever, from the Punisher to Spider-Man to Daredevil, any of those, Luke Cage, Batman. These are all versions of vigilantism, but also they show the brighter sides of being able to help, but also incorporate those things that are the darker side of things as well too. Coming out very, very soon, and I have, as a bookseller, I was very lucky to get an advanced copy of this, but as a new graphic novel called Batman White Knight, in which the Joker becomes sane due to a very violent act that Batman does to him, and thus Batman becomes the villain, because it's now brought to light that the reason why Gotham City is so dark and the reason why Gotham City is so full of crime is because Batman institutes those things. Batman is the person who goes to fight it, but also because of that, he becomes the enemy. And it's a great thing. I hope that you get a chance to grab it when it does come out. I don't have a release date. I'm sorry about that. But check it out, Batman White Knight. It will give you some great ideas on how to turn the tides against your players, using the city and the people, NPCs in the city, the villains, against the players. Very, very cool thing, and a very great way to give you inspiration for Vigilante Hack and the upcoming Vigilante City. Next week, we're going to talk about villains and motivations behind villains and how to make villains really, really awesome. So stay tuned for that. I guess that's it for now. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. Yada, yada, yada. You know the spiel. But until next time, I'm Questwise. We're out.